when you fake out everybody, and you go in untouched. And also Rams versus Buccaneers this weekend. Maybe Plashke's been faking out everybody all along, and he won't pick an LA team this time. Let's go.
I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock, Tony. Right. I'm going to be at the game at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's how much I'm picking the Rams.
What? Called working.
Don't know about it.
They serve you breakfast.
8 a.m.
A win to get to 3-0 is big, but Christian McCaffrey going out may be bigger. He was in that tent for 22 minutes. I know the Panthers have a long week ahead to treat the hamstring. Reporting is he'll miss a few weeks. You come up with a number for few. No one knows exactly what that is. He played every game his first 3 years, but missed 13 games last year, and now this. Emily Kaplan, around the horn to you. Number one takeaway from Panthers' win last night. Over to you.
Carolina's defense looks fantastic. They have the highest pressure percentage that we've seen through 3 games in the last 5 years. They've blitzed teams 28 times. They've allowed just 38 yards on those plays. But let's remember who they've played. 2 rookie quarterbacks making their first career start, including a dude named Davis Miller, who none of you guys have ever heard of.
Well, let's get his name right. Davis Mills is his name, but you just gave a stat that took away everything from what you just said. Justin Tinsley, I'll bring you in here. Number one takeaway from last night.
They're a solid team. I understand the knocks against them, but if you're Carolina, you can only play the team in front of you. Mm-hmm. And I understand CMC being out is huge, but they're kind of used to playing without Christian McCaffrey. In the 6 games since he signed his extension, he's only had 135 touches. And the glares that they have to improve on are there. Yes, Darnold has to take better care of the football, but he's actually playing good this season. And next week against Dallas, when they play Dak, that's a big test. But after that, they don't really play a bona fide scary quarterback until Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, and that's in mid-November. So, yes, I'm not calling them contenders, Tony. I'm not saying that, but they're a solid team, and they're the second best team in that division because Atlanta's not good, and we don't really know about New Orleans.
Well, we saw what they did to New Orleans 2 weeks ago. Frank Isola, I'll bring you in here.
Yeah, no one wants to mention his name, but Sam Darnold has been terrific. And Christian McCaffrey, guess what? When the score was 17-9 and they're looking to ice the game in the fourth quarter, Christian McCaffrey was not on the field. Sam Darnold marched them right down the field. He ended up scoring on a quarterback sneak, a couple of play actions. They ran the ball well. To me, his maturation as a quarterback, that's been the most important thing. Plus what Emily said about their defense. That's how you win in the NFL. Sam Darnold wasn't getting that type of support in New York. He wasn't playing that well. He wasn't healthy a lot. Now you're seeing it, and he's 3-0. Good for him.
Bill Plashke.
You're saying that Sam Darnold's a great quarterback because he beat the Texans? Come on, Frank. Sam Darnold's
he didn't lose. Would you rather have him lose?
The fact that Christian McCaffrey was on the field with him. Yes, Justin, used to playing with him without him. They're also used to losing without him. They were 5-8 without him last year. They can't win without him. Darnold needs the running game. He needs the lead. McCaffrey gives him both. And let's be honest, the thing that affected most people in this country last night was the fantasy thing. I'll just put it out there. Every fantasy owner who had him was going crazy. And that's the
number one takeaway for you. Okay. Emily, I'll let you get back.
Why would you pick him? He's always hurt.
Emily.
I was just going to say that, look, they might look fantastic now, and they might be able to withstand these injuries because after the Cowboys, their next 4 games are a buffet of the Vikings, Giants, Falcons, and Eagles. Those teams have a combined 2 wins. They might look pretty good at the end of this.
So they might be able to survive the loss of McCaffrey here as well? Okay. You're still in the negatives, but, you can make up. We'll move on. Buccaneers at Rams Sunday. Bill, you've been waiting for this. You've been pining for this. You're going to show up when you say 8 in the morning? Good for you. You wrote that the Rams are set up for a championship moment this season. Their mandate is to seize that moment. Will Sunday be that moment, Bill?
Yeah, you know what? I think Sunday the Rams make their big statement. They're a better team than the Bucs, and right now they're a better matchup than the Bucs. McVay has the Bucs defense figured out. He gained over 400 yards against them last year with Jared Goff. The Bucs defense, the Rams defense has Brady figured out. He had his worst game as a Bucs quarterback against the Rams last year. The lowest yards per attempt, the lowest completion percentage, the 2 interceptions. The Rams have their number, and the Rams are going to win this game, and this is going to be the first step toward their Super Bowl march. And again, it's a good matchup for them.
All right, everything you say may be true, Bill, but Frank's laughing, so I'll go to Frank. What's on your mind?
Why are you laughing, Frank?
All right. All right, so Bill, you said you're going to be at the game at 8 o'clock. So when you go to the omelet station,
Yes.
you sit down to eat your free meal, do yourself a favor. Go through that Buccaneers roster. And remember, that defense shut down Kansas City.
Frank's
and that
right.
quarterback is pretty darn good. And the last time they met in a big game, I'm talking a big game, was a Super Bowl. And Aaron Donald didn't do anything to Tom Brady. So just remember
Aaron
that.
Donald
Go
has
look at the
never
roster.
They were
Sack
playing the
Tom
Patriots,
Brady.
not the Bucs.
Yes, Bill, but you're talking about one game last year where the Rams won 27-24, and you said they have their number. Well, I mean, they won one game, Justin Tinsley. On what is the number one storyline going into this matchup for you?
I know we're focusing a lot on the offenses and for well-deserved reasons, but I'm focusing on the defenses, in particular those defensive lines, man. Look, I know Bill says they have Brady figured out. I understand he didn't play particularly well against LA last year, but yesterday's Brady is not today's Tom Brady. He has 4 straight games of 4 touchdowns, and 7 of his 9 touchdowns this year have come on throws in less than 2.5 seconds. So he's getting rid of the ball very quickly, and which is what he's going to have to do against an Aaron Donald-led defense. And I do think this is the week that he does actually get a sack on Brady, but that's where the win is going to come down to. Not necessarily the quarterbacks, because they're going to do what they're going to have to do, but those defensive lines like Tampa, V, and Ndamukong Suh, especially with JPP out, they're going to have to get pressured on Stafford, and I think they will.
Emily, who's the better team right now?
I think the Bucs are the better team right now, and for me, the number one storyline is Matthew Stafford. He went to LA to change his story. Well, here's your chance. He's 8-67 in his career against teams with winning records. That's an incredible
With
stat
the
to think
Lions.
about that. And so, yes, he's got the NFL's top most efficient offense right now. But something I've noticed about them is that they look really unstoppable at the beginning of games when they can script plays between Sean McVay and him. But then it gets a little laborious after that. So we know how we can beat the Bucs. You don't run the ball against them. You throw the ball. You throw the ball often. The stage is set for him to have a really big
Lasky
game.
back in.
The Bucs and Brady are thinking about next week in New England. Don't kid yourself. That's going to be a bit of a distraction.
They have a 10-game winning streak. They never think about the next game. They think about the game they're
The last
playing.
NFC. Who's the
thinking
last
about
NFC
the
team to beat the Bucs? The Rams.
Yeah, that's true. But the question is, who's the better team
That's
right now?
true.
Everyone is unanimous, except for you, Bill, that it's the defending champion that hasn't lost a game in what is it, 11 months now at this point. Okay, Make a pick for the game, Frank Isola.
Rams.
After all that. Oh, Tinsley.
I'm going Bucs. Brady last minute drive
Kaplan.
to win it.
I'll take the Rams.
Oh, my goodness. Lasky's getting all these points back. All right, Bill, make your pick.
I'll save you a piece of that omelet, Frankie. I'm going with the Rams.
3 for the Rams. We'll move on.
They're at home.
Justin Fields, first start for the Bears this weekend. I'm not sure you all saw this. It's been kept under wraps quite a bit. Versus Cleveland. Frank Isola, what are real and fair expectations of Fields?
Well, let's be fair. This is being treated like the guy has sat on the bench for 2 years and they're finally going to let him play. The good thing is he got to play in the first 2 weeks. Now, last week when he filled in for Dalton, he did have an interception. That's huge for all these young quarterbacks, whether it's Trevor Lawrence. Look what happened to Zach Wilson last week in his game against the Patriots at home, where he's throwing the ball to the other team the entire game. We know the way Chicago wins because they always have a different quarterback. They win because of defense. Just play simple. Don't try to get too crazy in terms of running the ball, throwing into coverage. Just keep it simple. That'll be your best chance.
So, Plashke, real and fair expectations?
Yeah, I agree with Frank. I mean, he's the youngest quarterback to start for the Bears in like 45 years. He's got a 22.7 passer rating.
Avellini.
Just don't get him beat. Go 15 for 21, 120 yards, no picks. That'll be fine.
Emily, what's going on the ground in Chicago? What's the feeling in Chicago as Justin Fields?
So glad you asked me. My intrepid reporting. I've been doing it all week. I've
pounding
been
the
talking to
pavement.
my friends who are Bears fans, and as excited as they are about Justin Fields and his potential, it is overshadowed by their hate and distrust with Matt Nagy. We know that Matt Nagy coached Pat Mahomes so that he knows how to do a scheme for a quarterback with some special traits. But the other thing he loved about Mahomes was that he sat for a year, and that's the path that Nagy thinks is the proper one. So The people here expect that they're going to change the game plan a little bit to fit Justin Fields, but they're not going to let him fully loose because in Matt Nagy's ideal world, he turns back to Andy Dalton at some point so that he can buy himself some job security and get Justin Fields.
Wow. So that's still the plan? That's what you're hearing from your friends.
That's what the people are saying.
Sarah Spain in Chicago. Justin Tinsley, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it's best not to have expectations because I don't know what Nagy's plan is. Like, ideally, give the ball to Montgomery and open up the pass for him. Chicago opened the season with the 28th ranked offensive line in the league, and Cleveland hasn't exactly been world beaters on defense this year, but you don't want to just throw Justin Fields to a pass rush that has Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney.
That's the point that no one's brought up.
My hope is that they make this as easy as possible for Justin Fields, but, hope and expectations don't always.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Going up against Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney in your first game is a tough one. Yeah, but I need something concrete here, Frank. Give me some numbers that Justin Fields is going to throw out.
The number is 1. 1 throwing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, and 1 win for the Cleveland Browns.
Tinsley.
Browns win, sorry.
Kaplan.
The 36th quarterback they've used since Jim McMahon was traded in 1989.
Flashy.
Wow.
The number is 2. 2 harried, 2 rushed, 2 young, a loss to 2.
Buy or sell next.
That's an award-winning columnist right there.
There it is. There it is.
Stats. 2 more home runs for him last night, but more impressive than that, he hasn't made an out in his last 10 plate appearances. Washington is beyond not good. They flat out cratered. But is he having an MVP year? Tatis, Harper, Muncy, Goldschmidt in this Cardinals run they've had. But Soto in the midst of a 1,200 month. That's Bonds territory, Bill Plaschke. Buy or sell Soto sneaking into the MVP race?
I'm selling that. Only 9 of the last 40 MVPs have come from teams who didn't make the playoffs. You need to dominate the entire season for that to happen, like Trout did, like Shohei is. Why not Brandon Crawford? Why not the best player on the best team in baseball who's led them there? Why not Brandon Crawford?
Okay, I'm here for a Crawford lover. Maybe the Giants could have 25 MVPs and they split it in 25 different pieces because that's how shocking they've been this year.
Yeah.
But you said 9 of 42? That's more than I thought
40.
would come from a team that Emily Kaplan, how about you?
Yeah, and the description for MVP, it explicitly says it doesn't have to come from a playoff team. But what I hate is the recency bias. Fernando Tatis has been the best player all season long. 40 home runs in just 120 games, leads in wins probability added. And it's not his fault that his pitchers just happened to stink the last couple weeks.
Tinsley, MVP in the NL?
I'm selling. I love Juan Soto. He's the best hitter in baseball, and he's a superstar in every regard. But Washington is 17 games back in the NL East, and they're 25 games below 500. Hey, Washington, put a team around this guy. He's got multiple MVPs written on him, just not this year.
Frank Isola.
Yeah, don't overreact to spring training games. Don't overreact to September games when your team has been out of it for a long time. The winner this year, it's going to be Tatis. In the other league, it's going to be Ohtani. But I like, Tony, that you mentioned Goldschmidt. Going into this afternoon's game, 291, 29 home runs, 93 RBIs for a team that's winning and is growing.
Right. I mean, yeah, he's hitting 400 and slugging in September during a pennant race. You know, this is the thing. And we go into the final weekend, the penultimate weekend, I should say, in these playoff races. And the St. Louis Cardinals drained every ounce of drama out of the National League wildcard race by deciding to never lose again. I mean, it's a great strategy to win out. They're playing a day game right now. I know I'm tempting fate because we're taping this segment while they're playing. But, I mean, that's shocking. And then the other side, Yankees-Sox this weekend for a 3-game series. And somebody's going to be winning and picking up ground. Somebody's going to be losing and losing ground. And Toronto is waiting right there to step in. Frank, will anything be decided this weekend?
Yeah. The Cardinals may be the most underrated organization in sports, and then you have the Yankees. Now, the Yankees tonight, this is about one game. Garrett Cole pitches against the Red Sox. He pitched on Sunday against Cleveland, didn't get out of the 6th inning, 10 hits, 7 runs. They need Garrett Cole more than ever. He loses tonight, Yankees are in big
Plaschke.
Yeah, I think this is a weekend Boston pulls away and clinches their wild card spot. The Yankees still have to play Toronto next week.
Careful.
The Yankees have scored 3 runs per game in Fenway this year, 4.71 ERA for the pitching. They're just not built to beat the Red Sox.
Kaplan.
It's not just that they're putting out Chris Sale. That's not why tonight's so important. It's that the Red Sox are bringing out Nathan Eovaldi, who's been a Yankees killer all season. 34 strikeouts, 2 walks in just 5 appearances. So this is a very crucial game. I do agree with Frank.
Tinsley.
I'm not saying anything in support of the Yankees anymore because every time I do, they make me look bad. But would you look at the Red Sox? They changed their front office to support analytics, but they're also investing in superstition. They've won 5 straight games wearing those marathon yellow unis, and they're not taking them off anytime soon.
Those are horrible unis. They're ugly, terrible unis.
They're winning in them.
Marathon. And they're winning.
Fire Cell 3,
color of
Nick
the Rams,
Sirianni's Beat Dallas shirt he's been wearing all week. He says his family's wearing one too. Cowboys were asked about it, see if it stir up a little bit of the rivalry. Ezekiel Elliott, did not take the bait. He says we stay in our own lane. Emily, buy or sell this shirt?
No, not the shirt. I cannot believe he brought out the shirt. In this age of competitive disadvantage where Matt Nagy won't even say what scheme he's doing, I can't believe he's going out and telling the Cowboys that he wants to beat them. Shocking.
Sarcasm alert.
My grandmother watches this show, so in the effort of kindness, I'm not mad at the idea, but it's going to be really funny when they lose by 15 on Monday night.
Isola?
The Cowboys could not pick out the Eagles coach in a police lineup until today because he's the guy wearing the Beat Dallas shirt. You know what? To me, it's harmless fun. You know, up in New England, Bill Belichick isn't even going to acknowledge who he's playing. In the NFC East, everyone looks at the Cowboys as their number one
Flashy.
rival. I think it's fun.
Yeah, but what are they going to wear next week when they play the Chiefs, or in 2-3 weeks when they play the Bucs?
Beat KC.
And they have a lot bigger games. They have bigger games coming down the road. To make one so much out of one game, that's dangerous.
Is there any bigger game than a game in your own division when who knows what they're going to do out of division? Emily Kaplan.
I love Jalen Hurts.
Parting gift.
I love Jalen Hurts more than I like that.
Your new podcast, In the Crease, with Linda Cohn. Find it wherever you find your podcast. I'm so
More
excited
jobs?
for you. Yes, a podcast. I love it.
He's off around the horn.
Tinsley's done as well. Isola Plasky showdown. 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Coast West Coast.
Mercury Storm single elimination playoff game Sunday. Let's go. Phoenix, they just got past Liberty last night. New York really made it a game, came down to the line at the end. But now it's one of 2 great rivalry matchups actually this weekend, now that you think about it, in a single elimination. Phoenix, Seattle, will Taurasi play, will Stewart play, and then on the other side, Candace Parker versus Sylvia Fowles, Chicago versus Minnesota. So, Bill, what's the one thing you're sure is going to happen with these matchups, and one thing maybe you think might surprise us?
Tony, you know, in my case, it'll be the same thing because I'm always right. Candace Parker, double-double for the Sky against the Lynx. She'll dominate Sylvia Fowles. Candace Parker's going to bring an NBA title back home to Chicago.
Ooh,
I'm saying
Frank
it right
Isola.
The one thing I'm sure of, and great job by the Liberty making it competitive, but to be 12-20 in advance, the league didn't need that. And now you get a UConn alumni game with Seattle against Phoenix. Diana Taurasi better play. If not, Phoenix is going home. It's over.
Man, Bill, I mean, for you to call it over already for a Chicago team, not an LA team, for a Chicago team is blowing my mind.
Powder blue.
They're great. I love Candace Parker. She's a great player.
Point, we'll move on. Emma Raducanu parting ways with her coach 2 weeks after winning the U.S. Open. Says she wants somebody who's been at the next level and knows what it takes. Bill, is it okay to move on from the coach you came up with and who you broke through with to look for someone else who's been at the next level, knows what it takes?
She was 150th when she hired this guy. She's 22nd now, and she fires him? That's like Giannis firing Coach Bud. Are you kidding me? It's like Brady firing Bruce Arians. What is she thinking? The next level? She won the U.S. Open. What next level is there? What did this guy do to her?
All right, so if we go to the archives of the LA Times, when Phil Jackson replaced Kurt Rambis and replaced Frank Hamlin years later, you criticize that move then. This is what happens all the time in individual sports. When you feel like you need to go the next level, they change. Phil replaced him. Let's see your column from back then. You criticize that move? Come on, Bill.
Bill?
Come on.
They didn't win the NBA championship. They've never made a coaching championship.
You know what?
NBA championship
You're at the next level. You won the U.S. Open. I agree with Bill here. We'll move on. College football week 4. I showed just the biggest thing this weekend in college, Frank.
And Marshall's got a great soccer team, by the way. It's going to happen in Chicago between Notre Dame and Wisconsin. We know that Notre Dame, with 1 loss, cannot get into the college football playoff. They need to win that. And we have boots on the ground. Emily Kaplan's going to cover
No,
for
it's
us
gonna-
this weekend.
It's going to be A&M, Arkansas. A&M plays Alabama in a couple weeks, and Alabama seems a little bit vulnerable. A&M, if they stay unbeaten, they got a chance to win a CFP. They got to win the game.
They never lose.
Plasky, take the FaceTime.
I think this is my 400th win.
This is your
This is my
400th
400th
win. All right.
Thank you.
There it is.
All right, I want to give great kudos to the first team in the United States of America that has signed an NIL agreement. The entire football team, the Division III Whittier Poets from here in Southern California, they signed an NIL agreement with Zendejas Mexican Restaurant to get free quesadillas and burritos. They are been outscored 167-30, but they get free meals. Bless them.
Sounds like you.
400 wins, Bill. Congrats.